welcome, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Purpose Collective, everybody. Really excited to see you all this morning. For those of you who've been with the Purpose Collective before, you know the drill. Use the chat, tell us who you are, tell us where you are in the world. And today we've got a question. Today's question is about hometowns, because Alberto and Lucía are from the same hometown. So tell us, what's your hometown and what is it famous for? So I'm from Wigan. Wigan is famous for having a pier, even though it's nowhere near the sea. So Wigan has a canal with a pier, and George Orwell wrote a book called The Road to Wigan Pier. So welcome, everybody. Tell us who you are, tell us where you are in the world, tell us what your hometown is and what it's famous for. We're really excited. And while we wait for people to join, we'll do a roll call. And again, it's a really interactive session. Use the chat as we go through. There's going to be a breakout session. So we encourage everybody to switch on the camera if you're comfortable to do so. And let's dive into the chat and let's see who we've got here with us today. So we've got, okay, we've got Nikolai, hometown Copenhagen, famous for, I'm gonna mispronounce this, Higgy? Have I got that right? I've obviously got that right. Coziness. We've got Rawia in The Hague, have many hometowns being Lebanese, Ghanaian and British, and living in the Netherlands. And we're going to be seeing Rawia next week when we're on the beach in The Hague, so can't wait for that. We've got Joe, hometown is Cardiff. Not sure if it's famous for this, but Cardiff loves rugby and castles. Very famous for its rugby. We've got Sally, hometown of Johannesburg, City of Gold, otherwise known as, again, forgive my pronunciation, Egoli in South Africa. Sarah from Shrewsbury, birthplace of Charles Darwin and the Shrewsbury biscuit. We've got Robbie in the East Mids from Cirencester, second largest town in Britain during Roman times. We've got Madalena from hometown of Bucharest, known for the Parliament building. Newcastle, known for football. Angel of the North, Newcastle Brown Ale and Gaza. Alberto says Woody Allen went there and said a delicious, exotic, beautiful, clean, lovely, tranquil and pedestrianized city. It's like it doesn't belong in this world. And he's talking about his and Lucia's hometown, which is Oviedo. We got Pablo from Gijón. Forgive my pronunciation. I need to work better at it.
Home.
Home. Okay. Thank you. And we got Deborah, who's in The Hague. Hopefully we're seeing you next week on the beach, Deborah. But hometown is a suburb near the Rockies, famous for spectacular hikes. Tom, whose hometown is London, home of sensible parliamentary democracy. Not anymore, it seems. Esther from Brighton, famous for its beach. We got Mari, who's from Fujisawa in Japan, famous for the cherry blossoms, the beach and the small island. We got Kelly. We appreciate you, Kelly, getting up so early this morning. I think it must be 5 a.m. where you are, so big appreciation for Kelly. Hometown of Kansas City, Missouri, heart of the US, famous for barbecue, Hallmark Park, and the Chiefs, the US football team, who are doing very well recently. We got Catherine from Kings Norton in Birmingham, home of Thomas the Tank Engine. And Catherine might have Jean with her. I'm not sure if Catherine does have Jean, but Jean, if he's with us, is the youngest member of the Purpose Collective. I think Jean's about 3 months old, so maybe we'll see Jean on the screen in a little bit. We've got Dominique from Bristol. Okay, so that's the roll call done. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We're really excited about today's session. And I'm going to hand over to Alberto, who's going to introduce Lucia. And before we do that, we can see that Jean is on the screen. Jean, the youngest member of the Purpose Collective. So everybody, let's say welcome to Jean this morning. Great to have him with us.
Well, for the people who doesn't know us, Chris, Sarah, and I, we are co-founders of the Purpose Collective. I'm also the founder of Just on Purpose, and I help companies and people to uncover their purpose. Maybe Sarah, you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you very much, Alberto. So good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. Along with Alberto and Chris, founded the Purpose Collective to host conversations like this. So I'm really excited to hear from Lucía very shortly. Very briefly, I'm a business psychologist by background, often on the corporate pitch, coaching teams to have better conversations, often about purpose, and I'm the author of the book Powered by Purpose. So back to you, Alberto.
Okay, and Chris, did you introduce yourself already, or?
I'm Chris. I'm the one that struggles with brevity. So I should put that into practice now and just say, along with Alberto and Sarah, I'm a co-founder of the Purpose Collective.
All right, well, thank you both. And thank you, Lucía, for being here. Lucía García Linares from Oviedo. That's the best town ever in the world, you know. In case you didn't know that, you know that. Now, and we are both from the same town, and we actually got together thanks to a different community that is actually called Asturias Power, and Asturias is our region, and it is also a community that has a very good purpose, which is trying to improve the situation of the region and create more opportunities for people there. So that's how we got to know each other. But I have a couple of questions for you, Lucía, to help you introduce yourself. When you were young, we were probably walking around next to each other and we didn't know each other. But what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, actually, I always have a preference for science, and this hasn't changed. But I wanted to be a doctor, actually.
Wow.
So, yeah, and probably because of the approach I always have to people, and yeah, that I want basically them to feel better. So now I'm an engineer, so probably you could say we are the doctors of the industry. I don't know. And we also, yeah, I still have this passion for people. So it's kind of a win-win, I believe.
Nice, thank you, thank you. And do you have a purpose superhero or heroine?
Well, obviously, yeah, I have many, like I guess all of you, on a personal and yeah, and people that I've never met. However, I would like to mention one, which is Leon van den Berghe. He was my previous boss, and he's a vice president of supply chain. He works in Toyota Motor Youth. And the reason why he is my superhero, Leon is a South African man born in the apartheid. And he is one of the leaders in Toyota that has brought inclusivity by choice, not by nature, because of the environment he was born. And in addition to that, he is a leader that actually gave us the willingness to have clarity on our mission and where do we want to go, and whatever happens, that if this is clear, we don't deviate. We can have a longer path, but we don't deviate. So definitely for me, that's a superhero of bringing purpose to the world.
Oh, thank you for sharing. One thing that nobody, only 3 people here knows maybe, is that today is actually your birthday, right?
Yes.
So you're now 29.
Yeah, Nicola's birthday also.
Okay. So what do you think, guys? Shall we sing happy birthday to her all at once? Try to, yeah? Jan is saying no.
Nicola also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if everybody has to unmute first, so that we get it.
Please unmute
so
yourself.
If everybody unmutes.
I assume in English, not Spanish.
We accept any, it's very inclusive.
Any language.
So any language is fine. Let's see how it sounds. And it would be nice to see if you can switch on your camera, it would be nicer. If not, we understand. But I will count until 3. Everyone is unmuted. Okay, cool. 1, 2, 3.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lucía. Happy birthday to you.
Anyway, I will for sure remember this birthday for sure.
Okay, and now over to you, Lucía. Really looking forward to listening to your story.
Okay, good. So let me share my screen up. Just a second. Up. Do you see the screen? Hold on, let me try to put in my presentation mode. I'm more used to Teams than to
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We
Yes,
see it, and
that's
I
why
love this slide.
yes. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Good morning again, everybody, and yeah, thanks to Alberto, to you, Sarah, and Chris, and to the Purpose Collective to yeah, invite me to today's session. So, first of all, I would like to set the expectations. I'm not considered by myself as any expert. What I will share today is basically how do I see bringing belonging to the world, and why I choose the word belonging is because when you feel like you belong, you feel that you're an important member of of a group, and then you can be your best self. So as a purpose, I think we should all have this essence to bring belonging to society. So what I would do before I jump into that, I would basically just explain a little bit of myself, so as you understand a bit what is my kind of goal as well. I was referring to Leon at the beginning. So I define my goal as creating an interdependent society. This is a term from Stephen Covey, in which we all belong. This is something I strive to do on a daily basis. Obviously, my family is at the center of everything that I do. And I also try to contribute as much as possible to society to share what I can share. And you see here a picture of Alberto and myself in one of the sessions we had together to talk about that topic. In terms of career, I worked for the first 8 years of my life in 4 different companies. So actually the reason I wanted to share that, and then anyway, since the last 17 years, I've been working in Toyota. Now I'm the head of ops control in the parts supply chain group. So I am not naturally somebody that likes to change. I'm somebody that is very, how is the right word I'm trying to, yeah, committed to, and I don't like change actually. And looking back, and probably you all know Simon Sinek and his passion for Start With Why. Toyota, for me, is a company that has a very strong pyramid of priorities, starting by having a clear why, a clear how, and then the what is, as a result, very strong. I kind of wanted to touch upon on our origins to see how strong our values are. So basically, we started by Toyoda-san, which basically had a desire to make things easier for the loom workers, including his own mom. And that lady was working late at night in a manual loom. And then he brought the automatic loom to the world with this essence to bring a better world. So then with that philosophy, then Toyota created our manufacturing company as we all know today. The reason for me sharing that is this passion of contributing to a better society is still very present today. And you see that in the next picture, because what defines our mission is actually we want to mass produce happiness for all, to improve the lives and well-being of others with technology. That is our essence. Whether we are going to do cars or build cars or something else, that doesn't really matter as such. Now we are also in a full transformation process because we're changing from the manufacturing company that we were to a mobility company for all, with again the willingness to give everybody the ability to move, because if you're able to move, you can be happier. And then one important thing I wanted to mention is probably some of you have heard about our values. So we have very strong in our values up until 2020. They still continue to be, but the 2 key values that we have was respect, which is still the case, and continuous improvement. However, bringing us into this new mobility company, we thought that we needed to basically change slightly, build upon respect and continuous improvement, and focusing more on what you see to the right, which is what we call the 5 Cs. And what the 5 Cs stands for is for different 4 words that start by C. The first one is having the courage to be able to be curious, to then be creative, and in an environment of collaboration and coaching. So obviously all this is on the basis of respect and continuous improvement, and that's what we are now kind of strengthening and putting in place. Then I just want to share a little bit, just in case in your companies or your life, you go to this transition, is something it was not easy to put in place. So what we did is basically we said, right, how make those 5 C's yours. See what coaching means to you. So coaching, this is, for example, mine. Coaching, for example, for me, it means developing my members, meaning enabling challenges and take action, etc. And then we say, right, once these are clear and this is what you want to do in terms of the 5 C's, practice them, even self-assess yourself on a regular basis. How well are you applying those on a daily basis? And then review with your supervisor with the aim of improving. So anyway, this is a working program that is giving us really a very good effect on how to bring these values into reality to be the transformation company that we want. Then, in line with that, this is the 8 priorities that we've set as a company. I'm not going to go into all of them. However, the first one that you see here is bringing a diverse, equity, and inclusion environment in the daily work. And this, we are striving to be the benchmark of Toyota. So why do I mention inclusivity here? Is I consider inclusive environment as the basis for belonging. And then this is where we will go into the breakout sessions, because what I then would like you to think in groups is, for you, what does it mean to be included? And then what are the benefits of being included?
Okay, so we've got the breakout room set up. We're in groups of 3s and 4s. So we're going to open the rooms now. Can we put the questions in the chat, Alberto? I think they're going in there, so everybody will see that. And then I think 12 minutes, Lucía, for the conversation?
Yes.
Excellent. So we're going to open the rooms now, and we shall see you all in 12 minutes.
Very nice. It's a student of mine.
While we wait for people to come back, you can give us the lowdown, Madalena. Is he a good teacher? Yes. Okay. He's not bribed you to say that, has he?
What can she say, right? No, but she got I have to say, she's a brilliant student, and she got a very good grade. So
mutual appreciation.
In sales techniques, was it right? Sales techniques. Yeah.
And Tom, welcome. Is this your first time, Tom, at the Purpose Collective?
It's my second time at the
second time. Okay. I hope you're enjoying it. Good to have you with us. The other breakout rooms, obviously, they're eking out, they're maximizing their time. So people will be coming back. I think, is that everybody back? Okay, we're all back. So is Lucía with us yet? So if you could use the chat to tell us what did you discuss in your group, and what did you conclude? What does it mean to be included, and what are the benefits of being included? So if you could use the chat, and then Lucía, we might invite 1 or 2 people just to expand on their thoughts.
That sounds perfect.
So waiting for stuff to appear in the chat.
Or if someone wants to jump in and share, that's also good, huh?
So we've got Rawi says inclusion equals acceptance. Joe, Rawi, do you wanna jump in and talk about that?
Yeah, we talked in our group that inclusion is all about accepting everyone with all their differences. And by accepting people with all the differences and different cultures, it can lead to safety, for them to feel safe, a sense of belonging, which helps them really grow and become, and show the best part of themselves, grow to the best of their potential, because they feel that sense of belonging and safety in an environment where they can be themselves. I was just talking, for me, inclusion is really something that played in my history, being biracial. Ghanaian, Lebanese, and not having that sense of belonging or fitting in not either world, and how I've learned, in my life to feel that sense of belonging and create it for myself, you know, being open, being curious to differences in others and in myself.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yes.
Have we got time for one more, Lucía?
Maybe just one more. If somebody
One
wants
more.
to share the was yes. Anyway, I can skip then. I think it's a good discussion. I can skip some of the slides if necessary.
I think Dominique Conterno made an interesting point. I don't know, Dominique, whether you want to come in, but is to be included is to live in the culture of transparency.
Yeah, this is really key, really, to me, because we live in a world of misinformation. And you can see in corporation, I mean, I've been working at management level most of my corporate lives, and you know, in different American companies, and transparency was never there. And the reason why is that there was a culture of misinformation, manipulation of information. You were never telling the truth to the employees. You were only saying what was enough for them to feel good, but never all the truth. And this is very destructive. So transparency, total transparency is a must. Only then you get long-term support from your employees, engagement and collaboration. Otherwise, you tend to create silos. And unfortunately, this is, you know, the silo culture is a real killer. I mean, companies survive because they're making plenty of money. But if you analyze, you know, the wastage of money and manpower is really dramatic.
Yeah, excellent.
Good. I totally agree. I'll come to that point at the end. Good. Thank you very much. Okay, let me then carry on. So what I wanted to share now in the next slide is a bit the vision and start what does it mean, diversity, equity, and inclusion? So is that all members feel safe, respected, engaged, valued, and therefore are able to unleash their full potential. And you mentioned that definitely. And then, yeah, what we want to do is basically be the most inclusive and diverse workplace in Toyota. So kind of 3 areas we're working on. I wanted to share with you in case you want to put that in place in your own working environment. 3, the first one is leadership. The second one is basically bringing in diverse talent. And the third one is an inclusive culture. We have some goals in each one of them. I will skip the slides in the interest of time, but I wanted to share how we are doing that. So first thing we did is basically create a new sustainability and ESG function to really deeply bring diversity and inclusion into life in the business. Then I think this is something that is applicable to everybody, is that all the managers and above have their own safety and diversity commitment. And the one you see here is mine, which is create a culture of safety and belonging where everyone can thrive. When we have a meeting, when we start by sharing what is my safety, diversity, and equity and inclusion commitment, which I think is very strong. We also have some talks with the executives. The one that you see here is Leon, the person I was mentioning at the beginning. And also we are doing some inclusive leadership coaching for the executive, bringing that into a future scorecard, which we don't have at the moment, to basically be a global benchmark. And we also have a diversity and inclusion advisory board. In terms of diverse talent, we're working on 5 areas actually. Age, woman, disability, culture, race and ethnicity, and LGBTQI+ community. So, and in the group we were talking about that. The first thing we focus, and when you focus on diversity and inclusion, because this is what you can really measure at first, although we're now putting some other measures in place, is on women. So we realize in Toyota, although I've been there for long, I never had the feeling of being mistreated. But at the end, when we look about us, women in high position were not so present. So it's kind of, well, who role model to look at? There was any. So the Toyota in the last 2 years have been put this strategy in place that you see here, with a specific mentorship and sponsorship program, some development space center, etc. And then to the right also, we are bringing that willingness to bring that sense of inclusive to a woman in the schools as well, with a specific program. Then from 2021, I will also want to basically match society, because that's one of the benefits of inclusion, is that you represent the society and the customers you're delivering. And I was mentioning at the beginning 5 working groups. I must say that the way we brought those groups into life in Toyota were by individual members. So now we're, as a company, we're helping those members to be recognized, and we put in more resources. So all this to say that our people really responded very much on the fact that we wanted to do something to be representative for what is living around us, and the people would put a lot of effort of their own time on top of the business. And then the last one is basically on the inclusive culture. Maybe also some tips for you is we are creating this respect and inclusive culture by focusing on one of the values I was mentioning, which is respect for people. And for this, we then are providing some trainings which were very useful to basically realize at what point we were blind. The first one of them was the unconscious bias training, which basically for me was an open eye, because you don't realize sometimes at what point you are unconsciously biased. And I will mention here an example. So in times of COVID, we could not see each other. So the interaction was through the screen. And well, as you can see, I'm somebody that really talks, etc. And looks like what I look to people is, as a result of that, I'm somebody tall. And then when I met one of the members that I was interacting the most, and that member looked at me, she said, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were so small." And I said, "Yeah, I know I'm small." So, and then on the contrary, so all this to say that we have that impression that, somebody that is going to impact or make a difference is somebody tall and good looking, what has nothing to do with that. But we all have our unconscious bias, and we need to work on that. We also have been providing inclusive behavior training. I will mention that as I'm putting that in application. And then also now we're focusing even beyond that, talking about what dignity and respect it is, and also introducing some inclusive facilities in our own environment, such as faith and meditation room, for example, and also some gender neutral toilets, and some more that are coming. And also last year we had the first global Toyota diversity conference in Europe to again recognize the fact that we really want to make a difference and recognize basically all different individuals for what they can really bring. So then, you might wonder, okay, how I'm in supply chain, how am I doing? So, well, before I go to that, I just wanted to show here what do I work for. So we are basically delivering service parts for current or past models and accessory to the whole European network. So we have one big center in Belgium, TPC, which is where I'm located at the moment. And then 13 regional depots across Europe. The dots that you see here in red. We have around 1,500 Toyota members, and we move 2,500 parts on a daily basis, so dealing with parts, and we work with a lot of logistics companies. So actually, as you can maybe think from this slide, is the environment is very diverse. However, in terms of inclusivity, we have some way to go. Also, well, I told you at the beginning I was operations control. That is my role. I'm not going to go into the details of this slide in interest of time, but one of the things I think is very important that that we bring clarity of the role, and but also coming back to what I was saying at the beginning, what is the vision of us as a team? In my case, is being an inclusive and sustainable PSG operations that delivers happiness for all. And then my mission is drive and provide support to the different operations to basically bring the parts to the whole world. So then what I then want to share is, okay, if we talk about a sense of belonging, which are 2 pillars I decided to work on, because as you probably have seen, the topic is very broad. So the first one is, who am I as a leader? I wanted to make it clear. So the more clear I am, the more inclusive environment I can bring. and then which is that environment that I want to create. So I'm just sharing here, okay, how do I define myself as a leader, which is care and achieve with a yes and approach, but it's a word that I particularly don't appreciate. And then I've also been quite outspoken about what are my different drivers, such as purpose, belonging, challenge, and joy. I believe in work we also need to enjoy. My expectations that the members are honest, they are engaged, they also are curious, and not that I promote failure, but failure is okay as long as we learn. And then, well, in terms of how I lead, I like to give direction, also empower the teams, then feedback and listen. And I think with this, I'm bringing a sense of inclusivity in my team. Then the second area is, what is this inclusive environment? So, and this I struck from one of the trainings that we have, and it's about 6 pillars. The first one is an inclusive environment, and one of the comments that came is giving and receiving constructive feedback is essential, because then we show appreciation and we show respect. Second one is being clear on what is expected and how do we communicate. I will mention some examples in a minute. Also, enhancing the inclusion in a very proactive manner is very important. So as we build, we make people feel safe and included. And also cultivated this self-awareness that I was mentioned at the beginning with trainings. Am I unconsciously biased, and what am I doing about that? Make sure that we involve everybody, so seeking multiple points of view as well, and that also, well, we listen to understand that this refers back to what leader I want to be. I will mention some examples on the last 3, and then I would like to start with some Q&A and what you think about that, okay? So as you see what is remaining. So if we talk about clarity on expectations, one of the first things I did with all my management team is that the members have clear on where do they want to go. So all the teams have then developed their own vision, their own mission. What are they here for? What are the deliverables? Then what are the KPIs and the roadmap in the next 5 years? And actually, the reason why I'm saying that is very difficult to be including if you don't know where you go. Then in terms of basically bringing an inclusive environment, so several activities we did, I'd like to mention this one. We have a mood board quarterly discussion. So in some of my management team, they basically on a quarterly basis, they sit together, not talk about business, talk about how do they feel. How am I today? And then they put pictures and then they all share. What have been my learnings and what have been my achievements that I'm happy about? It can be business-based, it can be anything. And this also unleashes basically, the discussion, and you get to know each other better. One of the other things we've done is basically also define what do we stand for. And not only in my team, the whole supply chain, we had a group of members that then said, okay, right, what do we want to be, how do we want to behave on a daily basis? So, and this is what you can see in front of us. We are unique and we love it. And this is how we would like to see each other. We welcome and greet each other. We celebrate individual and collective successes. We keep a positive approach and attitude, and etc. And then when somebody does not really show the attitude, then we basically give feedback, which I will come in a minute. And then this is also a picture I wanted to share because last year in September, I asked all my team, okay, if you want to share what has happened in your holidays when you're coming back, we always have a monthly meeting, and each of the teams share what they did, and you can see here that one of the members linked even his holidays with the 5 Cs I was mentioning. So it's kind of bringing more, okay, yourself to the working environment. And then on the environment of feedback, one tool I would like to share, which I think is very powerful, is this AEIOU tool. Because I also believe that if you have an environment of feedback and you do that in a proper manner, then you can identify what are the areas of frustration and what we can do about that. And those steps, I think they are really good, because first of all, when we experience a difficult situation, it's always good to step back and say, right, I am going to acknowledge the other person's positive intention. I will then express how I thought about that, and then I will identify my proposal to kind of, maybe that it doesn't happen in the next time when this person expresses that to me. Then we outline the benefits of what I'm proposing, we agree, and then we understand each other on a regular basis if this is going better. So this is something in my team we're trying to put more and more when we have a situation where we have not been very happy on how the feedback was provided. We then try to step back and use that too. And then the picture I put here to the right is also, in terms of feedback, what I believe is also very important is when somebody asks you and comes to you for help, that you act upon and recognize, and then bringing that really sense of inclusion together. And then I want to summarize with this slide before we go to some Q&A, which is, for me, this picture here represents, I think, very well what I just said. So the first thing is really important is we all have customers. It can be many different individuals. And then, well, the needs of the customers through the employees or through ourselves should be clearly identified. As a management, we then need to support the vision and direction to realize the needs and the dreams of the customers and then the employees as a customers as well. And this in an environmental of trust with inclusive teams, by which everybody has ownership and accountability, is what I believe is the essence of having a strong belonging. And with this, I just finished what I wanted to share with you today. And then I would like to have an open questions and open discussion. What do you think, how this resonates with you, any experience that you would like to share, so as we can also all learn from each other.
Well, thank you very much, Lucía. A lot of very super powerful content and inspirational content here. I have a question while people are thinking about theirs, but you know, I went several years ago when we met each other and all these, we connected, and then I went all the way to Brussels to have a chat with you, and I was amazed how, you know, about what you said and you shared with me about your work and working at Toyota and all this. But I have this one question. I think would be the answer would be valuable for the audience here. But do you love working at Toyota, and why?
Well, of course, I love working at Toyota. Probably you have noticed, and the reason is because of these values that I just shared at the beginning. They are applied on a daily basis. So we really try to build this environment of respect and continuous improvement now with the 5 Cs, and this is our daily life. This is not, you know, something in a world that we say, I mean, is there, but we don't walk the talk. And this is magic, because if you have that environment, then you can basically be creative, you feel well, and you're happy to go to work and meet your colleagues. So yeah, did I reply to your question?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Lucía, I was just going to suggest, do you want to stop sharing screen, and then you'll be able to see
Of course,
everybody?
yes, indeed, that is much better. Indeed, absolutely correct. Yes, thank you.
No problem. Yes. And then I think we've got Rawi has got a hand up. So Rawi, feel free to jump in.
Hi, thank you so much, Lucía, for sharing all that with us. Lots of amazing things. Two things that struck me in what you do at Toyota is one, cultivating self-awareness, so people can really, you know, identify their conscious biases. And the other thing is the quarterly mood board. I love that you do those two things. And my question is, how do you implement that in practice? at the company? Is it through workshops? Is it through promoting mental health and emotional well-being? Are there professionals that support people when they identify these unconscious biases or certain difficult feelings come up? I'm just curious, how is that implemented in the company?
Okay, good. Let me start by the second one because that is a bit easier. So the mood board is actually something that we have implemented in our team. And how does it work? Is on a every 3 months, because then the other 2 months we do something else. We basically sit together with the team. We prepare. People get prepared, send pictures of what they want to share, and actually it's an open environment where you really discuss on what has lived in your world for the last month that you're happy to share, so as then you get to know each other, that kind of self-awareness. So it's a practical implementation, and we're now trying to even roll that out to other areas in our business. We share in this week with all the management team if they want to join it. So it's been on an individual basis, the mood board, and I also think it's very strong because it touches the 3 areas: how do you feel, what you have learned, and what you're proud of. On the second one, the cultivation self-awareness, the first thing we did is training. Because actually you don't realize that you have those bias. And now what we are doing beyond, on top of that, is making our own self-assessments. And based on that, the company will provide us additional support as well. That will start next year. I also believe talking about that is useful. And so sometimes we have ad hoc discussions on that, but that is not so well structured. It's on an individual basis. Thank you for the question.
I think we've got Deborah with a hand raised.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, super interesting conversation. And really, I'm in The Hague, City of Peace and Justice. So my question is going to kind of go in that direction. So first of all, I want to just say thank you for this, because I think hearing that a big corporation like Toyota Europe is aligned with caring about people is always a good thing. And I work, and I have a digital fluency lab, and I work with working groups with MEPs and so on all these topics. So it's nice to see that from civil society to governance to corporate world, that these things are starting to align in a post-COVID sort of lockdown way. But my question is about the justice part. And I don't know if you can speak about this, and maybe you can't, but what happens when when a manager or a situation happens internally that requires like hardcore, we've got to do not more than an assessment, but now we got to do enforcement. Because, and I'll just say one last thing, in our group, we were talking about trust. And I always say there's no problem with trust, there's a problem with betrayal. And it's trustworthiness that we're really trying to amplify now in this post-lockdown world, in the hybrid environments and so on. And oftentimes I don't see enough accountability structures in place when things go down, when things are wrong. And I came up through the 90s when, I'd born in the 60s and, came of age in the 70s when the Me Too movement was happening on my back, in that context. So I'm really curious about if you can speak about enforcement and structures of accountability and how that works internally.
It's a very interesting question, and thank you very much for that. And especially, in Toyota, I would say we had a bit the opposite, if I can say, is, we are a company that is providing a job for life. However, what we realized also is that we needed to be a bit more clear on the accountability. And that's why one of the reasons I shared at the end, the 5-year plan. So what are you here to bring for? Then we cascade that in clear objectives, and then we have an evaluation on those objectives at the end of the year. And well, if you're not delivering, then we need to have some discussions, which we are having, to see why is that, how we can help you, and then in the long term, maybe taking some action. So that structure exists. And then maybe a bit linked to that is sometimes on the contrary, we have people that believe that are not very fairly treated on a daily basis as well. And then for this, we put our whistleblower, I have a lot of difficulties with that word, in place. So if you really are feeling that you're not treated fairly, you can also speak up. Yeah. Did I reply to your question? No. Right.
Excellent. I think that it almost brings us to time. So I think, Sarah, you're going to bring us home.
Thank you very much. And Lucía, thank you so much for all you've shared. I'm going to say in particular for including the origin story as well, about Toyota. It's always interesting from a purpose perspective to hear what the founders set out to do, and great to hear about your own personal story as well. So huge thank you. Alberto was sharing with us that his Toyota car brings him great happiness, so you're on mission there. And I know we're there in terms of time, guys. I'm just going to do a shout out for the next 2 events that are coming up. We've got one in The Hague next week. The 3 of us, Chris, Alberto and I will be there. Rawia, Deborah, I'm hoping you'll both be there, and maybe others on this call as well. You are all warmly invited in person. It's on Thursday, the 19th of May in the afternoon. And it's not only an opportunity to network and have great conversations, we're going to be doing an experiential workshop to explore purpose at an individual and organizational level. And finally, the next online event is the 9th of June with the author Aaron Hurst, who wrote the book, The Purpose Economy, which he says is the first economy ever really built for humans. And that's what we're participating in with this growing movement around purpose-led business. So we'd love to see you, whether it's in person next week in The Hague or the 9th of June back online here in the Zoom room. So wishing you all well. Maybe we could all unmute again and thank Lucía again for her fantastic contribution here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Before everyone leaves, just say hi or whatever. Hi, hi.
Bye.
1, 2, 3. Oh. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Hey, Chris and Alberto and Sarah, I hope you stay healthy until you get to see each other.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Well,
That's
last time
Don't around any
caught
other
COVID.
people.
Challenge, yeah.